Snap UK podcast, your one-stop shop for all the news, views and opinions you need on the NFL on this side of the pond. In the doghouse this week, I have Jimmy G, Gary B, Johnny F and Sponge Knob Shitpants. As the NFL season creeps close to its halfway mark, yes, we are almost there, we had a week filled with one-sided blowouts, bye weeks galore, and just a sprinkle of competitive games. Never fear though, there's still a lot to talk about, from revenge games to rookie woes, from the size of the Chiefs' issues to the size of Dan Campbell's testicles. We have it all on the Snap UK. The teams on the bye this week were the Bills, Steelers, Chargers, Jags, Cowboys and Vikings. So if you're a fan of one of these, skip forward for about 40 minutes or so. With that in mind, let's talk Titans 27, Chiefs 3. Yes, 3.
Quite impressed you got through all that without us disturbing you, actually.
I'm very impressed that nobody laughed.
I'm less impressed.
Slightly
He
saddened.
still can't get my name in right.
He didn't call you Sponge Knob Shitpants.
No one's got anything to complain about, have they? Let's be honest. This was the fewest points scored by a Patrick Mahomes-led Chiefs team. This was the biggest deficit that Mahomes had ever faced. You can keep racking up the other things that it was a first for. It was the worst performance in the first half by an Andy Reid-led team for like 8 years.
Furthest he's ever been behind in a game, wasn't it? 28
It was
points.
crazy. 27, yeah.
Closest Patrick Mahomes looked to being knocked out.
Yeah, that didn't look good.
I'm going to start the narrative early with not that I have anything in front of me as to some notes to prepare me for our conversation, but if I did,
Yep.
I just see this as the Titans being that good, not the Chiefs being that bad.
To be fair, I mean, we missed it last week because we recorded on Monday because some of us got social lives. They've now beaten the Bills and the Chiefs in back-to-back weeks after losing to the Jets.
I believe, listening back to last week's podcast that I wasn't on, I picked that.
Yeah, that's very true. We did give you that. I did pick the Titans to win this game, though, because I believe the Chiefs' defense is this bad. They can't stop the run. They can't stop the pass.
Actually, yeah, there's a good point here. You picked the Oilers. You didn't pick the Titans.
Fair play.
Technicality.
It's almost like we saw that one coming. Yeah, so basically, the Titans have turned their season round from some bad early season performances and a loss to the Jets, the only loss that anyone's had to the Jets, who we'll get to later. But the Chiefs are not turning things around.
You mentioned that their defense is just terrible. The offensive line has been completely rebuilt after the Super Bowl where Mahomes got destroyed, and it's still not working well. It's really affecting the running game, which isn't working. And Mahomes can't do it all by himself as much as he tries. I think he needs to learn to throw the ball away a couple of times.
I was going to say,
a lot of his interceptions are like, stop trying to be the fucking hero. Get rid of it.
Half the time he's not even vertical anymore.
Yeah.
He's almost on the floor and he's just throwing the ball up in the air. It's like, I know you want to show that you can do everything. But Brady has been so good for so long at just throwing the ball away. Roethlisberger at times as well.
Yeah, Rodgers.
They just throw it away, don't they? The play's dead. Throw it away. You know?
Don't take the sack. Don't lose yards. Don't throw an interception. Don't turn the ball over. Because I mean, as well as the interceptions, like there are fumble issues. No loss. There are fumble issues. They're just generally they're turning the ball over too much. And like the Titans, all right, they've had an average start to the season, but they're still a good team, aren't they?
I think what the Titans have done is finally realised that if they don't rely on Derrick Henry just in the second half, that will make the game so much easier. So rather than trying lots of different things and then just resorting back to using Henry, maybe if you just establish the run at the start of the game, then Tannehill can do whatever the hell he likes. And they've seemed to have finally realised that. It's made such a difference to how they've approached every game since.
I mean, this is a guy who's on course for the best rushing season of all time.
Yeah.
And also has a better passing record than Mahomes.
Well, he does now.
This week, yeah.
Threw more touchdowns in this game than Mahomes. Yeah, absolutely.
But Gary's right. There's a change in mentality, and this is I think this is good coaching from Vrabel as well, realising something's going wrong and acting on it.
I saw some clips and some analysis of the game where they were showing after they'd established the run that they'd send off Henry and literally you could see all of the defensive players just turn and at least 3 or 4 would track towards him. And then all of a sudden the slant to AJ Brown was just so much easier because there was nobody in the middle of the field because they were all just gravitating towards Derrick Henry.
That's always what's going to happen, isn't it? Like if you can establish the run through Derrick Henry as such an explosive runner, defenses are going to flex, so they're going to focus on that. And that's when you've got AJ Brown. I always want to say AJ Green. When you've got AJ Brown and Julio Jones on either side of the pitch, there's going to be opportunities there. You know, Tannehill, he's not a Patrick Mahomes, but he's good enough to be able to find two good receivers like that. I think the other amazing thing that Vrabel's done is got that defense playing. Like they are hunting quarterbacks now as well. Like Harold Landry's got 7.5 sacks in the season. Like this is a contract year. He's second in the league in terms of number of sacks. He is playing for money.
But the Chiefs have done the same thing now, haven't they, for 3 years? Kelsey Hill, Mahomes magic. And we've scored 35 points and you can score 28.
Yeah.
They do.
Their defense it's terrible. Like it's Tyrann Mathieu is the only player who's actually playing. The rest, Nick Bolton flashes from linebacker. I thought he was actually okay. But they've got a lot of money invested in Chris Jones and Frank Clark, and they've just been...
Frank Clark's been awful.
They've been literally invisible through the whole season so far.
Not good. They need a running game as well to help Mahomes out. All quarterbacks eventually need some semblance of a running game. Clyde Edwards-Helaire has been league average or worse, and Darrell Williams in this game, 5 rushes for 20 yards, which is okay, but nothing to lean on. Like
there's a chase in the game, aren't they? And
who's behind that? McKinnon.
Yeah, that's it.
And he'll be injured in 2 weeks.
If that.
I think McKinnon had the most receiving yards in the first half or something stupid.
Yeah, Byron Pringle had the most receiving yards for the
game,
Chiefs overall. Yeah, 5 receptions for 73.
This is the other thing with that roster. You've got some amazing talent, but some absolute dross backing it up.
And you have a $45 million quarterback.
Yeah.
Which
this is the problem. Does anyone want to tell me 5 years ago the last Titans running back to throw a touchdown?
Chris Johnson.
No. He'd left there by then.
DeMarco Murray.
Yes, DeMarco Murray in 2016.
What a player.
Well, exactly.
Very forgotten as
Not
well.
for the Titans. It was great in that season for the Cowboys, wasn't he?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think, Derrick Henry, I think he realised that to win the MVP, he had to be a quarterback.
It does. That seems to be a very popular theme of conversation at the moment. And clearly, there's nothing else this guy can do. He's playing as well as any player in the league. If he doesn't get MVP, it's because it's a quarterback's award. But, he should be right.
And the Titans are just going to run straight into the playoffs easily, aren't they? And if they can, if they're in easy, they can rest players at the end of the season. So
it's interesting that you say easy. The Colts won their 5th consecutive game against the 49ers, taking their season to 3-4 after an 0-3 start. And they look like they could compete with the Titans, to be fair. The Niners lost 30-18, and Gary and Jim, take it away. I've got nothing else for you.
I don't want to talk about it. Just
you have to. It's a podcast.
Well, we've been arguing
upset about it
on air, and off air for the last few weeks about this, haven't we?
I can't.
Shanahan out. Shanahan out.
No, that's not the answer. But I will succumb to Gary's viewpoint of that he maybe isn't the genius who
now has
build up
the same record as Mike Singletary.
Yeah,
as a 49ers coach.
He does, and he has a worse record than Matt Nagy as a head coach.
But he has been to Super Bowl.
He has, but outside of that one season, he has been. They've got a losing record in every single season.
Yeah, I think that there are reasons beforehand. There are no reasons this time. Just to get that clear, I don't. Their injuries aren't as bad as they have been previously. They've got better wide receivers than I think they ever have. Although apparently one of them can't catch or hold the ball or do anything really. Brandon Ayuk has been absolutely terrible this year. It was Jimmy Garoppolo's worst game. They had one good sequence. I think they went on their second touchdown. They went three plays for 70 yards. Every time the player was so far open and Garoppolo had so much time that I could have made those throws and scored a touchdown.
Despite a Super Bowl appearance, the Niners under Shanahan are worse than 500. They're like 450.
Yeah, they haven't had a record over 500 through 6 games of any season except the year you went to the Super Bowl.
Apart from the Super Bowl season, there is nothing positive.
I completely disagree with that.
And he looks broken.
He looks broken at the moment.
Did you see him?
I think he's just confused as to what to do. I also think there's something going on with the quarterback situation. I don't think Trey Lance is his guy. I think he's been...
You think he wanted Mac Jones?
Yeah, I think he wanted Mac Jones. I think he's been railroaded into that. And now he's got to play Jimmy Garoppolo because Garoppolo plays the game that Shanahan wants to play, and he's got to invent a whole new system for Trey Lance. And that's why Trey Lance isn't on the pitch, because he hasn't...
Then you just back Jimmy G to take the uncertainty away, which allows everyone to play better because they look like they're playing confused.
Jimmy G's just shit.
He's not
playing shit.
He's not playing well. But you wouldn't play well if you didn't know whether your job was secure.
But I think there's all sorts of things. I think there's been some poor decisions at times. We kept Armistead and we lost Buckner. There's been decisions that have been made by him and Lynch over the last 2 years that have taken us from a Super Bowl contender with a really mean defense. I don't watch Red Zone now, waiting for the Niners defense to rip teams apart. And I know it's hard to be able to afford to keep that going.
Yeah,
but it's not that's not the team that we were 2 or 3 years ago, is it? So, I suppose it's disappointing how it's evolved. The first 3 years you can kind of say, right, well, we've been building, and then we've made it to a Super Bowl. We can see what they've been trying to achieve, and then you've got kind of all sorts of interesting ways of introducing running backs and the running game, and then all of a sudden it just never kind of gets to the crescendo you expect it to, and then it just falls flat again.
This should have been the season where, even if they'd gone in with Trey Lance to start off with, you'd still want to see some exciting plays. Remember when Lamar Jackson kind of first burst onto the scene? He was electric. Completely different game plan to what they had with Joe Flacco. But they turned it around, they introduced him and absolutely set the league alight. I just can't imagine that happening with the 49ers at the moment. They look stuck in the mud, literally, on Sunday night.
And Twitter, so I think Shanahan's always been a media darling, really. They've always been quite big. His dad was a head coach, he was a young coach, came through, did great things with the Falcons offense, etc., etc. And he hasn't really been given much of a hard time. No. But now Twitter's kicked off. All of the analysts in America have all kicked off.
Twitter will kick off at the drop of the hat. I agree with you. There is a definite turning of the tide in terms of the analyst support of Shanahan, where we all listen to the Around the NFL podcast. We know Mark Sessler thinks Shanahan's going to be a multiple Super Bowl winner and is a genuine genius. I think he started to slightly turn from that opinion. Yeah, every coach goes through bad seasons. This is a particularly bad season because there's no excuse to pin it on this year, as there have been previously.
And when you look at Sean McVay, he had a one down season, but they've been playoff. We've made it to playoffs once. That's not good enough. The Niners aren't going to the playoffs this year.
No, probably not.
How many coaches survive at the Niners?
I think he'll get
one appearance in 5 years.
I think he will get another year. I think there has to be a massive forward step next year or something. And then we'll see what happens at the end of 2022.
George Kittle's a massive loss for you guys, though. That was a huge part of your offense in that 13-3 season.
Well, now we don't use him. I said this before we started the podcast. He's now just Selleck. He's just a blocking tight end.
But that helps in the running game. When there's so much leaning on the running game as well, and you lose one of your best blockers, that's going to have an effect as well.
Yeah, so we ought to talk about Carson Wentz before we move on from this game. Carson Wentz...
he was all right, wasn't he?
He has 11 touchdowns to 1 pick on the season. He has his highest quarterback rating, if it stayed this way, that he's ever had. And he's actually playing really quite well. We mocked him a few weeks ago when he managed to twist both ankles.
But he carried on playing.
He did. And actually, they're turning this season around. And they look really likely to push and keep going forward. Almost the opposite to the Niners, who, like you say, are stuck in the mud. Frank Reich's message is clearly getting through. And this team is working hard. Pittman Jr. is playing really well at wide receiver. It looks like T.Y. Hilton's basically been replaced. He came back, played one game, got injured. Michael Pittman.
Well, he's a big wide receiver as well, isn't he? Which is always helpful, if you're going to overthrow players.
Mo Alley Cox, who's massive. They just seem to have enough.
Jonathan Taylor,
running back.
They've got
Excellent.
him going.
He's got a level of consistency now, which he didn't have last year, wasn't it? Last year, it was like run 100 yards in one game, and then the next game, it was like fumble it 3 times and run 20 yards. This year, at the moment, he's performing kind of week after week.
John's just flagged something up for me. He said the 49ers have the 3rd least quarterback pressures in the league this season, despite having that D-line. And that is part of the reason why the defence is giving up points. Is because if the quarterback is not under pressure, your poor cornerback situation is horribly exposed.
Well, our cornerbacks are terrible, and they committed some horrible fouls actually on Sunday. We committed 7 penalties, and the Carson had 6. Both those numbers are fine, but when you look at the yardage we gave up, 122 yards was given up just on penalties. And I know we don't like the pass interference call. I hate it as well, but it's there. You've got to play it, and they gave up 2 terrible pass interference.
Did anybody else see what this game went down in NFL history for?
The worst challenge of all time?
No.
No, I didn't.
It went down in history as the first game in the NFL where both teams had a 100-yard receiver and a 100-yard rusher, but neither team had 300 yards of offense. Which is quite an impressive thing. And also, we ought to talk about Deebo Samuel.
He's brilliant.
Yeah, unless... Or am I thinking of Brandon Ayuk?
Brandon Ayuk.
Sorry,
Brandon
Ayuk, the other guy, who managed to volley a punt back towards his own end zone and not end up giving away a safety.
How that was a touchback. That rule should be looked at, surely.
There's a couple of rules we're going to come up to this week, but that should definitely have been a safety. I don't know how that works.
I think it's because you're allowed to take the ball back in from that play, because it's not... You're receiving the ball, aren't you?
So the momentum of the ball was still with the kick. And
yes.
It's like,
He hoofed it. He hoofed it into his own end zone. It was embarrassing.
Yeah, it was symptomatic of a whole game for the 49ers, I felt.
Right. Bottom of the AFC South is now securely held by the Texans, who put up absolutely no resistance against the Cardinals this week. The Cardinals moved to 7-0 for only the second time in franchise history, with a 31-5 victory.
First time that scoreline's ever been had as well.
Scorigami. Zach Ertz looks like a good signing.
I was saying to John earlier on the way here, what are the Cardinals lacking?
Nothing really. Experience at being good. That's the only thing that would hold them back. But it's a pressure when you start being one of the favourites, and they don't have that experience.
They've got a target on their back now.
Yeah, they do.
Zach Ertz comes in with having gone on a Super Bowl run. That's great experience coming in.
JJ Watt's pretty experienced.
And losing.
Sucking in the playoffs, yeah.
But Zach Ertz is exactly the sort of player they need. That is just another leader on the field to take the leadership pressure off of Kyler and just allow him to be Kyler.
Don't get me wrong, I realise the Texans are dross, right? But to do that without Zach Allen, Chandler Jones and Corey Peters, that's great defense they're playing at the minute.
It helps that the Texans are really this bad.
I think this game tells us very little other than what we already knew, which is the
Cardinals
Texans are terrible and the Cardinals are pretty good. The only thing I would say about the Cardinals is where I think they've done well, where I think Shanahan and Lynch could have learnt from, is that they've brought in proper veterans. And I know they got given one basically from the Texans, which was handy. Please have one of the best wide receivers in the game for nothing, So that was quite helpful. But that's something that the Niners
a second round pick there. Don't forget.
But they haven't done that, have they? So they've got a young quarterback and surrounded him with experienced talent, and that's something that Shanahan hasn't done well enough. So because it's interesting how the Cardinals, in the space of 2 years, have just moved straight past us. But that Cardinals team looks a really good mix. They've kind of done some of what the Rams have done whilst they've got a cheap quarterback.
It's kind of what we want the 49ers to do.
Yeah.
It's exciting to watch, even though they're against the Texans and you know what the result is going to be, you still tune in because you want to see what they're going to do.
Well, yeah, you put those veterans around him whilst you can afford to, whilst you're paying him $8 million or whatever, knowing that you're going to have to pay him $45 million in 3 years.
There's also some good cheap signings like James Conner.
Yeah.
I think that's a cracking signing at running back.
Yeah.
He's looked very good.
AJ Green has proved to be brilliant. He had another 60-odd yards this week.
But these are all experienced league players, aren't they? You're not trying to do loads of fancy things. That's my point.
You keep taking the pressure off Kyler, and he just keeps getting better because he can just throw the ball and someone will be there. Zach Ertz
Chase Edmonds is okay as well.
Yeah.
Very good. Zach Ertz became the first player in NFL history to have a receiving touchdown in consecutive weeks for different teams.
Yep.
That's quite impressive by itself. It's like they just everything they touch at the moment it turns to gold. Whereas with the Texans, everything they touch turns to shit, and it's not good. I like Cully. They have put up some okay performances some of this season, but I don't understand what the direction is other than
there is no direction.
Tank.
Yeah, there is no direction yet because they've got no collateral to build that team with in terms of draft picks.
It's going to take 2 or 3 years. They must have said to him, you've got at least 2 years, because the Watson Furore is still going on. You can't be expected to deliver anything, can you, apart from maybe 2 wins this season with a bit of luck.
I think we're going to talk about Deshaun Watson later anyway and what's going on there, but they need to kind of milk that for all they can. So they've got
I don't think anyone should be milking Deshaun Watson.
I think that's
the problem.
Yeah.
Just so they can have as many draft picks as they can over the next 2 to 3 years.
Very rarely does Gary beat me to the joke, but that one that was absolutely
very rarely does Gary beat you.
Yeah. Anyone want to give me the most recent instance of the last undefeated team to win the Super Bowl?
Was that the Miami Dolphins in the 70s?
No, it was much more recent than that. The last team standing without a defeat.
Chiefs.
Oh,
No.
Week 7.
In week 7.
In week 7.
Oh,
well,
right.
no, just in
Well,
any
because the
week.
Chiefs went about 13-0 at one point.
They didn't win,
They
did
didn't
they?
win. Patriots?
No.
I thought it'd have to be a Patriots.
Ooh, 2006 Colts were the last. They started 9-0 and won the Super Bowl. So it's not actually an indicator of success, particularly. It hasn't been done that often.
The Panthers went 14-0 or 15-0?
15-0.
Yeah.
Under Cam,
Yeah. That season they got in there.
Steelers were at 12 last week.
Oh, yeah,
Last
Steelers,
week.
yeah.
And
Exactly.
And if I could be the first to say it, we've got to remember, the Panthers shit the bed in the Super Bowl.
Did. I mean, the Patriots went 16-0, didn't they? They shit the bed in the Super Bowl.
So imagine
We've
if
quickly on from that. Haven't we?
Yeah, we have. Imagine, if you will, being blown out by a score greater than 31-5, which is a massive 26 points. Well, imagine no longer, as this was reality this weekend for Bears fans, as they were crushed 38-3 by Brady and the Bucks.
But this is no reflection on the Bears. That Bucks team is phenomenal. The
It's some
roster's
reflection on
insane.
the
I think it's some.
I'll tell you why it's a
Khalil
reflection.
back.
I'll tell you why it's a reflection. It's not the fact that they lost, and it's not even the fact that they conceded 38. It's the fact they scored 3 against a Bucks defense, which has been one of the league's worst, because they've got no quarterbacks. They've got nothing. You know, they're playing your mum at cornerback.
The problem is the Bears have got no plan on offense.
Nothing at all. Shocking. They're throwing Justin Fields out there as a sacrificial lamb. 3 interceptions, 4 sacks. The guy's been hit 15 times, I think, now in his 4 games he's
Definitely
started.
not a Fields of Dream, is it?
It's not. No, it's fields of landmines. It's not good at all. He looks like a sacrificial lamb.
He looks like Deshaun Kaiser.
He does look like Deshaun Kaiser. You're right, and that wasn't good either. And whatever happened to him? I don't think he's in the league anymore.
I thought he was a backup at somewhere.
Green Bay.
Green Bay, yeah.
I don't think he's there anymore.
No, he's not anymore. They've got that.
Jordan Love.
That's the one.
You cannot fault what the Bucks are doing. They are marching back into the playoffs, and they look every bit capable of outscoring their poor defense. But at some point,
who's going to beat them if they can just put up 38 points like that? I think they score something stupid like 4 or 5 touchdowns for only like 50 yards.
Brady just looks like this year. I can be slightly happy about it because I've got him in fantasy, and he's the number 1 fantasy quarterback as well at the moment.
Yeah,
it is crazy. It is. He's never played
He got
football like this.
15 touchdowns through 7. No, more than that.
Yeah.
More than that.
18 touchdowns.
I think loads of people have been saying it, but like I think we forget how good he actually is, and like this is a genuine superstar, which we're lucky enough to witness for the last 20 years, and we can't become. I think everyone's become a bit blasé about it. I think only this weekend he's thrown 600 touchdowns in regular season.
Yeah,
People
that's
are like,
incredible.
All right,
he's
but
21
this guy-
touchdowns to 3 picks on the
and
season.
like, he still looks like he's like 28.
Yeah, I wish I could look that good
His
when I was 28.
receivers are just so good, though,
Yeah.
aren't they? Mike Evans. You just don't know which one's going to have the game.
Yeah,
he had
Goodwin.
3 touchdowns this week.
The connection-
Godwin still got another one, though, didn't he?
Yeah.
The connection between like Brady and Mike Evans, it's like what Brady had with
Edelman or Gronk?
Edelman or Gronk. Like I think it's the second touchdown that Mike Evans saw. The ball was flying towards him, and he just turned around and it was just there.
Because Gronk's,
just there.
Gronk's been injured, hasn't he?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, Gronk's missed the last 3
But they
games.
only want Gronk for the playoffs and the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
That's
pretty
when
much.
they'll need him. Because they're there already, pretty much.
Yeah, they're not rushing him back. No, they're
need
going
him for the Super Bowl to walk into the end zone and get
You might
thrown at.
as well let him have a month partying and then give him a good, 4 months to get fit.
Yeah, I mean, in all fairness, they could have had another touchdown. Brady missed OJ Howard, who was completely open in the end zone. It was the only bad throw he had all game, and he looked horrified that he missed him.
My favourite bit is the fact they had to go beg for the ball back because Mike Evans gave it away. They've given him a Mike Evans signed shirt and £1,000 to spend in the club shop, and now he wants a round of golf with Brady.
No,
season tickets for next season.
I thought this would come up, so I took a note. They've given him 2 signed jerseys and a helmet from Tom Brady, a signed Mike Evans jersey and his game cleats, a $1,000 credit at the Buccaneers team store, 2 season tickets for the rest of this season and next season. And Brady has said he'll give him a Bitcoin, which is worth about $62,000 at the moment.
And
I want Giselle's nudes.
Yeah, someone else said he should be given a date with Giselle, didn't they? Yeah. Was it Romo?
I probably. It sounds like a Romo thing to say. I mean, in all fairness,
I think the first touchdown ball that Brady threw, I think it went in auction a few years back for about $500,000.
They reckon this ball was worth about $750K.
So. But the problem the guy's got is technically the ball remains property of the NFL until you exit the stadium, so they didn't have to give him anything.
But you just fucking run, didn't you?
It's costing them nothing.
It's good PR.
It's costing them nothing.
Yeah.
We talk on here a lot about players who are terrible, players who have done bad things. Every week somebody comes up. We've just had Deshaun Watson mentioned for something that I think we're all reasonably agreed we think he did. Like, in some way, I will commit to it.
I'm going to be the first to say allegedly.
I didn't say what it was. I just said I think he probably did it. I'm allowed to say that. I haven't made any allegations, and I'll stick to it.
I'm also going to confidently say that Deshaun Watson's lawyers are not listening to the Snappy.
However,
remember that tight end for the Texans, his mum liked our tweets. You never know.
However,
just don't want to take any risks.
I will point out that the Brady to the brain cancer kid connection was quite something. That kid was clearly moved, and it shows you that the players that do the charity work and they go to the hospitals and things, it does have an impact. We might look at it and think, it's just PR, whatever, but it clearly meant something.
Well, I think if you get the opportunity to do that kind of stuff, it is amazing.
Yeah.
That doesn't take away from the fact that Brady has been one of the most unmoralistic players the league's ever seen.
Possibly not, but I'm just saying
on the field,
it's a good sign for the league to have these things pointed out as well, because a lot of the time it's very negative in terms of
the only time it ever comes up is when you get the shortlist for the Walter Payton Man of the Year, and I mean that's a great award, and that's awesome. But there are so many players who do so many other great things.
Simmons make the shortlist.
There are so many players who do so many good things in the community, and you never hear about it. I think Andre Johnson every Christmas, he used to go to a toy shop and basically buy everything for anyone in there. They used to do like a trolley dash type thing, and he'd just fund it.
Yeah, JJ Watt's another one who has been,
Watt's so much.
moving cyclone debris by hand.
I think Drew Brees did quite a lot in New Orleans
as
well, after Katrina as well.
I mean, there's probably a list hundreds of players long, which we'll never know about. So it's good when it gets highlighted.
I thought it needed a mention. It was clearly important to that kid.
It's more fun to look up the shit bags, isn't it?
More clicks.
NFLarrest.com's great. Other websites are available.
Well, yeah. Quickly then, Nagy, yes or Nagy, no? Is he there next season?
No.
That's not the game to judge it on.
No, it's one of many games where he's...
Oh, no, I mean, overall, based on his tenure there, no. They need to move on.
Right. Gary?
Matt Nagy with the better win ratio than Kyle Shanahan.
Is he there next season, yes or no?
I would say he will be, because he's not had long enough with Fields.
No, he's ruining Fields.
He's ruined one quarterback already.
Yeah, a bit like Anthony Lynn and Herbert. I think he's gone. I think they can't take the risk of him ruining.
I said something with Griff Sunday night that 3 years ago the Bears thrashed the Bucks, and Trubisky scored 5 touchdowns that day. So it has things have changed in Chicago. It's on the way down.
Oh, but
Nagy needs to go.
That's a hell of a comparison compared to what's happened in Tampa Bay in 3 years.
I don't think Trubisky's done in this league. I still don't.
No, and I think you'll see Trubisky back as a star.
The circus has moved to Tampa Bay.
He could be the next Tannehill. On the right team, Trubisky could be the next Tannehill.
He could, but yeah, that's not the thing in doubt. I think Chicago's on the way down. They need to change.
I agree entirely with John, and I think it's all over for Matt Nagy. The sooner the better. Now, imagine, if you will, being blown out by a score greater than 38-3. A massive 35 points. Well, imagine no longer, this is deja vu, the feeble dog shit coming off a bye, lame as fuck Jets lost 54-13 to the Patriots to fall to 1-5 under Robert Saleh. Now, I will say this. The Patriots are 3-4.
Two of them against the Jets.
Two of them against the Jets and one against the Texans. I've written here, Patriots only beating bad teams, but
got playoffs in front of you.
This is a beatdown. This is an absolute embarrassment of a,
Well, Wilson was out pretty early.
No, it was done before that.
I know it was.
He played half the game, but
their defense is terrible. The Jets.
Everything about the team is terrible. Robert Saleh is doing a very bad job. They had a bye week to prepare for this against another rookie quarterback, and they did nothing. The five of us could have done an equally good job in that Jets defense. They were that bad. Like, they couldn't stop the run. They couldn't stop the pass. They couldn't get their defense off the field. And when their offense was on the field, they either gave the ball away or dropped it or went backwards through penalties. Or there was nothing good for the Jets. And I was looking forward to this division with Josh Allen, Mac Jones, Zach Wilson, and Tua Tagovailoa, 4 new quarterbacks. And I thought this one of the divisions going forward could be really strong. I think we're seeing that a couple of these quarterbacks are probably not going to be great, and a couple of these organisations are not capable of turning around their bad fortunes.
We've got the answer we wanted, though, to that question that was posed when the Patriots were this evil empire. Is it just the Patriots are that well managed, or the other teams in the division are that badly managed? And we know the answer now.
We do, and that's my point. The Jets and the Dolphins, not good organisations.
No, I still wonder if you'll get enough wins against other teams, to make the playoffs.
I think it'll be tight, and I don't think we will.
Whether you'll get a wild card or not, isn't it?
Yeah, that 7th spot is our best hope, but I don't think we will. But I think we'll be closer than maybe people thought we would be.
I think maybe the Colts playing as well as they are might hurt you.
When we looked at the teams that were 1 and 3, and I said pick the best one, I said it was the Patriots. Now, if you looked at the teams that are 3 and 4, you'd say the best one of those teams is the Colts.
Yeah,
because they are, and so the Patriots perhaps aren't accelerating like the Colts are, but like I say, they're only beating up bad teams.
When you go through the Colts roster, it's better than the Patriots.
You just won by 35 points.
Better than the Patriots.
And that's the other thing. Like, you have got to beat the teams that are in front of you. Like, we nearly lost to the Texans. Let's not forget that. And then we've beaten the Jets twice. Once Wilson threw 4 picks, and this week he got injured. He's out for 2 to 4 weeks, and they've traded for Joe Flacco and brought him back. No one's scared of that. You might as well have stuck with Mike White. I mean, seriously.
It's just a fucking car crash, isn't it?
Just because he knows the system. Yeah. That's the only reason.
It is. But Mike White looked every bit the same as Zach Wilson. That was the worrying
scared.
Yeah. But that was the worrying thing. What did he get? 200 yards passing?
202.
Yeah. But so he played the same as Zach Wilson. It wasn't any different. And that's a concern because he's a nobody quarterback. He's been in the league 3 years as a backup in. But
don't worry, Zach Wilson will be in 3 years.
Well, this is. I don't know. I was told this week by Duncan that on this podcast he appreciates the analytics, but he feels we are far too harsh on rookie quarterbacks. Maybe we are. But Zach Wilson just looks like Sam Darnold did when he was at the Jets, like terrified in a badly run organisation.
It's not an issue with rookie quarterbacks. It's an issue with the organisation around them. You can point to the same with Justin Fields and the Bears, the same with Trevor Lawrence with the Jaguars. Like, the organisations around them are just those are at the moment 3 bad organisations. I believe the Bears are better because they've got history being better. The Jets and the Jaguars are just.
I think the thing is,
when bad institutions, and they always have been.
When you look at what the Patriots are doing with Mac Jones, they are not asking him to do too much.
Exactly. No.
8-yard throws, screen throws.
Hand it off to Damien Harris, who's been brilliant.
And so they're not asking him to do too much. And if it wins them games, it wins them games.
Yep.
The game plan doesn't change based on the scoreboard. It is based on what that player is capable of doing at the moment.
Yeah.
But because Belichick is confident in his job, he's able to do that. Whereas other people are fighting for their careers. So everyone else's career doesn't fucking matter. So they're just like, I need you to go and throw this ball 50 yards into double coverage. Well, you're shit. I'm sorry, Nagy. Maybe you're shit. So it's that's the problem, is whether you're looking at that long game and whether you feel secure enough to do it. And then most of them with rookie quarterbacks that are anything good is because they've been shit for the last 2 years, isn't it?
Yeah, I agree with you to an extent, but Salah and Urban Meyer, you're new. Don't look at me like that.
I don't think either of them are secure in their jobs.
No, but you should. I don't think any team should be going into a new coaching situation thinking, right, I've got to perform. The team's got to perform. Otherwise, I'm going to be one and done. Like, you've got to be particularly shit. You're in that position anyway because the team the previous year was shit, quite frankly. So, and there's got to be some level of consistency. We look at Zach Taylor.
That's not what happened at the Browns, though, is it?
No, but you look.
I know it's a badly run organisation, or was.
It's better,
but
now.
It still was one quarterback. 0-16.
Yeah.
We still have another season. 1-16, the 1-15, and then sacked after about 2 games.
They kept the coach. They kept the coach off the 0-16 season for a few games.
Then he went and jumped in a lake after he won a game, didn't he?
Yeah, exactly. Right.
The thing that gets me with the Jets, they've made themselves an unattractive destination for free agency. They've made themselves an unattractive destination for anything.
Yeah.
You look at some of these other teams in terms of what Miami are doing, you could see they were trying to do something.
Yes.
They were trying to bring in a more defensive mindset under Flores, bringing in some really good players on defense. All right. Also bringing, making some stupid decisions, but they're Miami. Come on.
I think they're about to make another big stupid decision, but
yeah, we'll get to it.
I just think the New York Jets are just horrendous.
After bad. It just seems like they can't get a single decision right.
Because they're not building for something. With the Jags, even the Jags, you could see they're trying to do something with Trevor Lawrence. They're trying to build a team around Trevor Lawrence. It does seem to be like, just... I can't think of the right analogy, but it's basically putting a new coat of paint on something.
Yeah. Paint a coat, yeah.
A new coat of paint on something and expecting it to be different.
Yeah,
it's not good. The Patriots had their most points and total yards, so 54 and 551, in a game not started by Tom Brady since week 2 of which season?
1993.
No.
1999.
No.
98. 5.
Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Ooh, 1979. Also against the Jets.
The Jets haven't beaten the Patriots since 1960.
Well, it's 12 consecutive defeats to the Patriots, actually, but still, it's not great.
It's obviously there's history between the Jets and Belichick, and right in the second half.
Sorry, read that stat completely
when they're already the game's won, he's still lobbing the ball.
Yeah, we were like 28 points up, and he was still throwing the ball with Brian Hoyer. He went 3 of 4 for 79 yards.
His face saying, "I don't care. I'm going to keep scoring."
There was
He even had a shave, hadn't he, as well?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He looked ready this week. He was like, "I am taking the Jets apart."
The Jets have lost 11 straight at Gillette.
Yeah,
that's. Just burn it down. Just move the franchise somewhere else. Move it to the NHL.
Forfeit. You get so many injuries. Like, they would have been better off just not going.
it's true.
Just claiming an outbreak. Has anyone got any COVID?
It was.
Could you come in and lick Zach Wilson for us?
It was a bad day to be a Jets fan. I feel for the fans, but watching the franchise fall apart does not surprise me. Even better news for Pats fans came in dramatic late fashion on Sunday as the usually terrible closers, the Falcons, marched down the field and kicked a field goal as time expired to beat the rudderless Dolphins 30-28. Falcons moved to 3-3, Finns to 1-6. Ouch.
I'm enjoying the Falcons at the moment.
Matt Ryan is so good.
Matt Ryan is the talk of him going the same way as Roethlisberger has been greatly exaggerated. Matt Ryan is every bit
younger and fitter.
Yeah, he's fitter. That's the key.
And better.
And Kyle Pitts is just getting on fire now.
He is Julio. That's who he is.
Yeah. Kyle Pitts only played 7 snaps at tight end. He was playing in all the receiving positions. He was playing in the slot or out wide. He only played 7 snaps at tight end.
But Jimmy Graham used to do that.
Yeah. Players have done it before, but it's so noticeable that this tight end from college is not a tight end. He's just Julio Jones.
He's a receiver.
It's just a big runner. It doesn't make any difference, does it?
He's DK Metcalf who can turn.
Well, yeah,
he's leaner than DK Metcalf, isn't he? He's more nimble. So I think he's going to be great. You can see why they took him where he did. He's going to be amazing.
This offense, Arthur Smith gets a lot of credit for what he did in Tennessee, but Kyle Pitts and Cordero Patterson, 2 players who are effectively playing out of position. Yeah. He's making it work.
Yes. Who else they got? They got
Russell Gage.
Gage, that was one I was thinking of. He played okay as well, didn't he?
He's been playing very well, and they got Calvin Ridley back. And if they'd have had Calvin Ridley when we saw them playing at Tottenham, they would have absolutely destroyed the opposition. As it was, it ended up as a one-score game. But
they do need to get him in the game more, Ridley.
But that wasn't a one-score game. I know it was in terms of the final score.
It wasn't, but my point is they would have just accidentally blown them away.
You felt they were trying to be polite to that horrendous franchise.
Carl Pitts is decent, but also Mike Gesicki's having another good few games for the Dolphins in losing situations.
Every season that goes by, he gets better, which is often how it goes with tight ends. But he looked very impressive, and he continues to be one of their best players. Tua threw 4 touchdowns in this game. Let's not forget that.
But they still want to potentially trade him for a man with multiple allegations.
Yeah, I can't. Tua said this week, yes, I hear it, but I just don't listen. I'm sorry, that's not a thing. If you hear it and you think...
That's a complete contradiction in a sentence.
Of course. But what he's getting at is, I'm not letting it bother me. Well, I'm sorry, I think he is. I think he looks under pressure. He'd thrown 4 touchdowns. His team were winning, but he looked under pressure to keep throwing it and keep making statement throws. And that's not the sort of player he should be. He needs to be a conservative, pick up 5 yards, keep moving on.
When you needs to calm down.
Yeah, but he's trying to say, I can be as good as Deshaun Watson. And he's not the same sort of player. He could win as many games, but he's not the same sort of player, so you can't do that.
I can see him travelling a similar path to Darnold, where he'll have a couple of years at Miami, it might not work out, and somebody else who doesn't quite have a high enough draft pick,
you know what?
Give him a shot.
I'd love to see him in New Orleans. So I think Sean Payton with...
What about the Steelers?
Yeah. What about WFT?
Yeah.
No, that would ruin him.
Probably ruin him.
I could see him at the Steelers.
I just think with Sean, he's just like Drew Brees.
Giants?
Nah.
I think the fact that we feel he's trying to play beyond his means is summed up by this particular stat. The interception in the fourth quarter was his 7th in the last 5 games. Bearing in mind, he only had 2 interceptions in his first 9 career starts.
But then maybe their defence should stop letting people score 35 points.
The defence is terrible, and this is supposed to be Brian Flores' key.
They were good last year.
They were. And now, even with Xavier Howard back, who John was making the point the week before, that's a massive loss. Nothing.
But there's a difference between Xavier Howard wanting to be there and Xavier Howard feeling like he's a prisoner.
Even so, if he's trying to play his way into a move, you've still got to play well.
Howard still made a pick.
Yeah, that's true. But they give up a lot of yards.
But picking off Matt Ryan isn't the prize it was a few years ago.
No, that's true.
How much credence do you give to there being issues in the locker room between the players and Brian Flores? Because I feel we said this maybe last week, where previously the Dolphins have been a very tight knit group and playing above their station and kind of winning games which they perhaps shouldn't have. That's just not happening at the moment. And it's a very similar set of players. Okay, they obviously had a few new ones, but something else is wrong.
Flores is making some bad calls defensively and with challenges and things. And any team that's playing well generally is unified around its quarterback, whether it's offensive or defensive players. They unify to do what they can to elevate the quarterback, who then technically wins them the game. And it is impossible for players to do that if they think that quarterback's on the way out, because you'll get some who are saying, this is my guy, and I'm doing everything for him, and others who are saying, yeah, but we could have that guy. That can't be good for a locker room.
Yeah, if you compare the Dolphins and the Bengals to where they were last year, both teams
completely switched around.
Yeah,
and it's Burrow's being there, isn't it, that's made the big difference. And I think that's the problem for Tua, is that he's not a team captain either, is he?
He's just not that sort of player. No, I don't believe he is. No,
but there should be problems in the dressing room. They're 1-6, and the one they got barely got. There should be problems in the dressing room. They're playing terribly.
Me that we lost that game to them, because they are so poor. They should be every bit a 0-17. That's how well they're playing. It's just not good. Right, Monday Night Football provided a close game. Hooray, a close game, with the Saints easing to a 13-10 win against the still Wilson-less Seahawks.
Close game, but a shit game.
It was a shit game. The Geno-led offense wasn't able to do much outside of one long DK Metcalf play, which was like a
84 yards.
84-yard touchdown. And the Saints really weren't stressing this one. Quick questions really on this one. Playoff hopes over for the Seahawks?
Yes.
Yes.
They needed a win with
We
Geno.
said that last week.
Yeah, I thought they might. I thought this could be one because you don't know what you're going to get out of Wilson.
The Cardinals and the Rams are going out of that division. Nobody else.
Yeah, so it would seem. Gino had 3 successive passing touchdowns, though, for the first time since which season?
2015?
No.
2018?
2014. It was very close.
God.
He hasn't won a game that he's started since week 7 of 2014. So it's not ideal. The Saints.
There's hope for Zach Wilson yet.
Saints doing just enough is basically what this comes down to.
Alvin Kamara is doing most of it.
Irene Cara.
I'm fine with that. Let's they finally realised, like John said, that he's good at catching the ball.
No, he's called Errol Patterson.
He still does all right as a running back, but he's a better passing back. So use him like that.
10 receptions, 128 yards.
Oh, beautiful.
Alvin Kamara became the fastest player in NFL history to reach 3,000 or more rush yards and 3,000 or more receiving yards.
Yep.
It's 66 games he's done that in.
Did he beat Bell?
I have no idea. I don't know. But
I guess it was
Bell
Bell.
would be a good shout, yeah.
He's just, when he plays well, the team is, very difficult to beat. Their defense is playing so well this year.
Yeah.
So does it keep Jameis in his job?
Yeah, I think it probably does.
Really?
Yeah, what's
Thomas,
Jameis done wrong? Jameis dropped the ball and still threw a touchdown to Kamara on the same play.
I've been into that in great depth, and that's more on the Seahawks' terrible defense than it is anything else.
Maybe so, but what's Jameis done this season to make you think he shouldn't be their quarterback? He's thrown plenty of touchdowns.
He's not throwing too much at the moment.
No, I agree.
So I don't know what more you can ask out of him. So unless they get Aaron Rodgers, I don't know what.
You're playing the Legion of Gloom.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, you are. I don't see what else he can do. Wins for the Falcons and the Saints were bad news for the Panthers, who were stomped by the Giants. Oh, 4th and Inches has got his Giants shirt on. He's very proudly. John's displaying his shell suit, his New York shirt.
Shell suit.
It really is. He looks like a scouser from Harry
Someone needs to
Enfield.
get a picture of that on the gram.
I am currently the biggest fire risk in this building.
I don't know. Paul's pretty hot in his New York shirt. So this made the Farrow brothers smile, which is great. Look, the Panthers started 3-0 and have careered off a cliff without Christian McCaffrey. Darnold looks terrified.
2 fantasy points he got this week.
Did he really?
2 fantasy points.
My word, that's almost impossible to do. That's got to be scoregami in itself. Do you know what? I really thought Danny Dimes played well again. He's had one bad game this season. He also made one of the catches of the season, a one-handed grab. It was amazing. So,
like you say, he's had one bad game, and in a lot of losses, he's looked good.
The bad game as well. He shouldn't have been playing.
Yeah,
because we all knew he must have been seeing double, which probably means his catch, no gloves, by the way, as well. One-handed catch, no gloves.
I've heard him being called OBDJ now.
Yeah, and let's not forget the Giants did this without all 19 of their starting wide receivers because everyone was injured. Shout out to Graham Gano, by the way, who's the most successful Giants kicker since the 60s now.
And also, you think Aldrich Rosas before him had a fantastic record as well.
The Panthers are terrible without McCaffrey. Darnold needs McCaffrey. That's all this game tells you.
Darnold, yeah, I don't get it. I've got nothing. I really wanted the guy to be good.
DJ Moore couldn't catch the ball for half the game.
I was going to say, this is the second week in a row that Darnold's going to, he's going to cop a lot of the flack.
Had 111 yards.
But they're dropping so many passes still. And it's not like he's throwing them way over. It's like...
Robbie Anderson's there now, isn't he?
Robbie Anderson.
So I remember for a long time... I'm pretty certain for a long time I was saying that Robbie Anderson can't catch.
Robbie Anderson was good last year.
Yeah. And now he can't catch.
Now he can't catch again. Like DJ Moore can't catch. He's like 10 targets, 6 receptions.
Yeah.
I think their defense has really switched off because at the start of the year, the Panthers' defense was doing really well. And it just doesn't seem to be...
I just don't think it's on the field too much. Because they've got no McCaffrey.
The thing for me as well, Matt Rule took Darnold out in the fourth quarter and replaced him with PJ Walker.
I
don't understand it because Darnold is clearly someone who needs a hug, not a slap. And I just think this crushes him even more. I don't. It's a bad move.
The only positive here for Darnold is the fact that PJ Walker had three completions from 14 attempts.
They completed 2 of 15 third down attempts. The Panthers.
Remember last year they were saying PJ Walker was going to be one of the best backups in the league, the XFL star.
Yeah, it didn't work out that way. No, they've been better off with Walker, Texas Ranger now. Yeah. It wasn't good. Right, we're going to have a little break and a refresh, and then we get to go again in part 2. Woo! So, I never thought I'd live in a world where the Bengals were anything other than turgid. But Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase have gotten the NFL excited, and Sunday showed what they can do for real as they joined the beatdown brigade and stunned the Ravens 41-17. The largest ever win over their divisional rivals. We need to talk about Jamar Chase.
Hang on, a bit harsh. The Bengals were all right a few years back.
Yeah, but they were never going to win the Super Bowl.
They went to the playoffs.
Sleepwalked into the playoffs in a bad division and then got steamrolled in the first round 5 times in a row.
Yeah.
I just want to refer back to when we did our pre-season shows, and I got asked to suggest some fantasy players to look out for.
You did?
I believe one of the players I said you should really look at was Jamar Chase, who I then got told keeps dropping the ball.
Keep dropping the ball.
But that doesn't seem to be the case anymore, does it?
He's not dropping the ball.
208 yards or something ridiculous, wasn't
201 yards, I think, yeah.
You can prove anything with facts, Gary. Honestly, my one was Elijah Moore. He got 13 yards for the Jets.
Is Burrow going to be the best out of this crop? I know it's early to say that, but he hasn't played a full season yet, has he?
Yeah, of course he is. Like, he's going to have to do something.
But is he going to be better than Lawrence? Is he going to be better than?
Oh, do you mean the whole draft?
That crop of like the quarterbacks in the last 3 years.
He's him or Herbert.
Yeah.
This was a statement game for sure.
Yeah, the thing you've got to bear in mind is Burrow's started the same number of games as Tua.
Because I didn't think Lamar did much wrong in this game.
No, Lamar didn't do anything particularly wrong. It's just the Ravens' defence has given up. They're not capable of stopping teams once they get behind.
And also, Jamar Chase is a freak.
And Marquise Brown even remembered how to catch a ball like really well in this game.
Yeah, well, he's been all right.
He had 14 targets and 5 receptions.
But the touchdown, the important one was pretty special.
I think it is a little bit of Lamar Jackson accuracy issues as well. That came up again. I think, but to be fair, the Bengals defense absolutely dominated the Ravens. But that's been okay. We're going to talk a lot about Burrow and Chase, and rightly so, because they were phenomenal. But the Bengals defense is, I think it's a top 5 defensive unit in the league at the moment.
Yeah.
They've got 6. They signed 6 free agents in the offseason, and they're all performing. And yeah, I think
so. That's another team putting veteran players around a young quarterback.
Yeah. That's it. It's strange.
It's the formula, isn't it?
Yeah, but this time last year, we were all saying Zach Taylor should be sacked.
Oh yeah, I think I put him in number 1 to go at the start of the season.
So things can turn around pretty quickly.
Unless you're Kyle Shanahan. The Ravens have allowed 400 or more total yards for the 4th time this season. They only did that 3 times in the whole of last season. This is my concern. They're a very good offensive team, despite losing all their running backs, because they've got Lamar Jackson. When their defence struggles, they cannot keep up. They won't. They're going to just get blown away like this.
I said a few weeks ago, I don't think the Ravens will make the playoffs.
They will make the playoffs.
You don't think they'll make the playoffs?
I think there's a chance.
They will definitely make the playoffs. And it's another reason why the Patriots won't make the playoffs.
When they get to the playoffs, and they will get to the playoffs, they'll be like, remember, they held the Chargers to 3 points last week. You know, when they get a chance to properly plan against players, which they will do in the playoffs, I think they'll be fine. And it'll be more down to the fact that Lamar Jackson has accuracy issues is why they go out.
They're the 3rd best team in that division.
Really? You think they're worse than the Browns
over them at the moment?
Based on current form, Bengals, Browns, Ravens for me.
I don't know. The Browns are an odd one to call for me.
I don't think the Browns will make the playoffs now.
I'm not sure I'm going to say that either. I think 3 teams come out of this division, and it won't be the Steelers. That's the only one you can say will definitely not make it. And they could turn that round. It could be just a free-for-all.
Yeah.
That's the problem. But in no way am I prepared to say the Ravens won't make the playoffs.
If Chubb doesn't come back in the next few weeks, the Browns team is in trouble. Because it just is not the same, is it?
No, of course not. This was only the third time in 44 Jackson starts that the Ravens have lost by more than 7 points. So usually they keep up and they do all right. But man alive, this was a shellacking, I think is the phrase they give it. And I think what John is indicating to my left is it's a bad week for the Ravens, but it does prove that the Bengals are actually this good.
Yeah,
now.
we did say last week this was an acid test. The Bengals have had some good form. The 2 games they lost are only been by field goals. This was a test, and I think they passed with flying colours.
And if you're going to have a bad week, you don't want to have a bad week in a divisional game.
No, exactly.
But you get 6 divisional games a season, don't you? So it's always possible. Speaking of divisional games, so Thursday night football saw the introduction of a new backfield star for Cleveland as they beat the Broncos 14-17 on the back of Dearness Johnson. I managed to shoehorn that in for you.
Thank you.
That's okay. Dearness Johnson had the most rookie rushing yards for an undrafted player. He had like some ridiculous number of, it was 149 yards?
146.
Terrell Davis undrafted.
Yeah,
Yes.
but the most in a debut game.
Oh, fair enough.
For a first start. It's madness that they just pulled another running back to go with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. I think it says a lot about their O-line, which is clearly very good. The other thing for me, what were Case Keenum's stats? Because Baker did not play. He's injured.
Keenum completed 21 from 33, 199 yards, touchdown, and no interceptions.
And I think if Baker had done that, we'd be saying, yep, there's Baker, game managing, that's okay. I just don't think there's a massive drop-off. I really don't.
Case Keenum is the best backup in the league.
Case Keenum played under Kevin Stefanski when he was good at the Vikings.
That's a fair point.
And I don't think there's a massive issue. And we were talking before today about Baker's impending contract negotiations. And every game he misses and they don't lose hits him because he is just a very good game manager. That's what he's going to be.
He's not Dak Prescott, is he?
No, he's not Dak Prescott. He's not
He's-
Matt
he's-
Mahomes.
but
He's not Josh
he's
Allen.
Alex Smith.
What I mean is he's nothing like, Mahomes, is he? But
No.
if you think about how he tries to play the game, Dak's probably the closest in terms of how he approaches his game style. And he's nowhere near at Dak's level.
No, he really isn't. On a bad team, he would look like a bad quarterback. On an okay or good team, he'll look like a good quarterback. Yeah. But it's the same.
It's whether his ego will let him take 20 to 25 million.
He's going to be negotiating at the same time that Lamar Jackson is going to be negotiating. And to your point, like Jackson's probably going to be up there 35, 40 million realistically. Is he going to be prepared? Came out of the draft same year. He was the number 1 choice. Jackson was the number 32, certainly in the 30s.
32, yeah.
Is he going to allow his ego to accept the fact that he's not a $35 million quarterback? He's at best 30 million at best.
My ego would let me accept that.
But you're not Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
No, that's the problem. But he makes enough money from all these commercials that he's in all the time. Like, money shouldn't be his primary driver. Staying on a team where he can be successful should be.
Yeah.
Because he could end up moving and being on a very bad team.
And that will be the deciding factor of whether he stays at the Browns.
I could see him being Mitch Trubisky. I could see him going to be a backup somewhere.
No, I don't think so. I think he's a good, solid starter, but he's not going to elevate a team, is he? It's like you said earlier, he's like Alex Smith. If the team is good, he will win. If the team is bad, he will struggle. And I honestly think that's what it is. He was really good in his rookie season, but as soon as people got tape on him, look how badly he dropped off in the second season. And since then, he's just leveled out as a good game-managing quarterback.
I also say Alex Smith just because drafted at number 1 and shouldn't have.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. Yes, the comparison with what Jackson gets is going to be interesting, but if he's got any sense at all, he should be vying to stay put. Don't overexpose the team by forcing them to pay too much money.
Yeah, there's a lot of talent to pay on that team over the next few years, and more important players than Baker Mayfield in terms of it's harder to replace Denzel Ward than it is probably to replace Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, I think there's not much we can say about the Broncos right now. They're another team that started 3-0 and now 3-4.
Fangio's gone at the end of the year, right?
Yeah, we said this last week. I'm convinced that it's over for Vic Fangio because I don't see what he's bringing to the team. The defence isn't. It's just okay. It's just good. It's not anything sort of fantastic. But
they're not doing anything well.
No, that's it. They're really not.
you think about the amount of people that were lost to the Browns. Okay, they didn't have Mayfield, irrespective, but they also didn't have the two excellent running backs, and they didn't have the two starting tackles either, and yet they still managed to get 182 rushing yards
against a defensive genius.
Yeah,
that's it. I just want to bring this up about Teddy Bridgewater because maybe being overlooked a little bit. Teddy Bridgewater's score in the fourth quarter was his 12th passing touchdown this season, which is the most through the first 7 games amongst Denver quarterbacks since Peyton Manning in 2014.
That's a pretty terrible.
It's a wank bunch of plays. It's a poor selection of plays. You're like, he's better than...
You didn't say poor the
I
first
said
time.
wank. But yeah, we all know Teddy's better than Trevor Siemian and
Paxton
Lynch, Drew Lock. I mean,
Brock Osweiler.
Fuck, I mean, yeah, they're all shit. Teddy Bridgewater is slightly better than shit.
Well, that's the name of this week's podcast. Teddy Bridgewater is slightly better than shit.
He is, though.
He's not wrong.
No, he's not.
We'll see when we get to our quarterback rankings.
I'm just saying, Teddy Bridgewater isn't the problem on this team. Everything else is a struggle. They've lost players to injury, and the defense is not living up to its end of the bargain.
It's an average quarterback and an average team, and it's just
in a good division.
Pretty much what Baker Mayfield could be on an average team is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Green Bay barely broke a sweat on Sunday as they won 24-10 over the increasingly dire football team. But now Adams and Lazard have COVID, and the Packers play on Thursday night.
Adams has COVID. Lazard is a close contact.
Oh, sorry.
But they're both out Thursday night against the Cardinals.
Oh, that's not the team you want them out against.
No, it's not. And I know Duncan was very much looking forward to this game, and now he should be slightly less looking forward to this game. So let's talk about the Heineke dive or giving up when running for a touchdown and then doing the Lambeau leap to celebrate.
Yeah, that is funny.
That's very unfortunate. So the NFL changed the rule 3 years ago. If you dive head first
as a quarterback,
you are deemed to be giving yourself up from the point of the start of the dive, regardless of whether you are touched. So Heineke could have just wandered into the end zone, but he saw potential contact coming and dived 1 yard short and then rolled into the end zone untouched, which we all thought was a touchdown and isn't a touchdown correctly. But the rule is wrong, right?
Like the rule's not wrong, it's just a bit stupid.
But they could do that in 80 yards of the middle of the field and just the 10 yards at either end say that rule doesn't apply.
If that was my job, though, I wouldn't know that rule.
Yeah, that's my point. He should know that rule.
He could just dive in the air.
Yeah.
Like, he decided to stick his knee down and fall into the end zone.
Yes. Yeah.
So he could have just... Like, if you watch, say, Cam or Lamar, they always dive in the air, don't they? They still can't be touched, but they Superman it, don't they?
Do you not think that's because they're quite big-bodied players and he just doesn't feel like taking that contact? I don't know, because some weeks we've seen him, like, was it week 2, he dived for the post and, like, he got hit by about 3 players on his way in.
Well, he managed to jump when he did the Lambeau leap.
Yeah, well, that's
Can we just rate the fact that he's not very good?
I think he is very bad.
Yeah, he's a poor version of the man he's replaced. Fitzmagic. That's what he is. And yeah,
I think that's been kind to him.
He rushed for 95 yards, which is the second most in a game by a Washington quarterback.
It's a shame it wasn't 96, though, especially because they didn't actually get in afterwards.
I don't know. I really wanted him to be good, but he's being exposed as a backup who's starting games.
In the playoffs last year, he got a touchdown by doing quite a similar thing, but better, by diving in like a Cam would in the end zone.
He ran to the pylon, didn't he?
Yeah,
it was over on the sideline.
So but yeah, he should know the rule. But yeah, it's probably a legacy of people like RG3 not knowing how to dive and give themselves up. That's why they probably changed the rule. But yeah.
Right, it's that time of the week where we get to play another game of Name the Quarterbacks that Aaron Rodgers has faced. So, excluding Taylor Heineke, can you name the other 5 regular season starting Washington quarterbacks that Aaron Rodgers has faced?
Alex Smith.
Yes.
RG3.
Yes.
Kirk Cousins.
Yep.
Donovan McNabb.
Donovan McNabb. There's one more.
Fitz.
No.
Who's the guy who left? Haskins?
Dwayne Haskins, yeah, well done. So that's the shower that Washington have put up to face Aaron Rodgers.
Smith and Cousins both.
Yeah, there's a couple of okay in there.
They ballsed up the Cousins.
That's probably about
issue.
9 years of that as well. To be fair,
I think it's since 2010. So 11 years. Yeah.
They ballsed up the Cousins contract issue.
Yeah, they did.
Like, okay, he's not amazing, but like he's the best they've had out of that lot.
Yeah, it's true. Shame we've had to admit that. The Raiders continued to march toward the playoff slot as they turned over the Eagles 33-22, with Derek Carr working at a record-setting pace, by the way. The Raiders are Super Bowl contenders.
No.
The Raiders are, it's not really a question, it's more of a statement.
Yeah, we all disagreed with it.
They're not balanced enough. They're not balanced enough.
To do what?
Their wide receiver core is not good enough to take them to a Super Bowl.
It's okay.
They did this without Darren Waller. I'm just saying, like they were fine. Their wide receiver core.
I disagree. Fine. Yeah, I disagree with that. I don't think you need a good wide receiver core to go to the Super Bowl.
This is the Eagles.
Yeah. That is a very valid point.
Yeah. That's the main point. The Eagles suck.
Yeah, Derek Carr completed 31.
Do you really think the Raiders could beat the Bucks?
No, that's why we all said no.
Hang on. I don't see there's any reason why Derek Carr couldn't pick apart that Bucks secondary. It's just whether or not their defense could stop the Bucks doing the same.
Well, yeah, that's the point.
But yeah, I'm saying they've got more of a chance this season than they had the last couple of seasons. Yes,
Rams.
Yeah, I mean,
beat the Rams.
Similar problem.
The Raiders are Super Bowl contenders, just like they are as being one of 32 teams at the beginning of the season. They're not.
Can they beat the on current form? Would they beat the Bengals?
No.
Would they beat the Bills? No. So they're not getting into the championship game. So what's the point? Well, I don't see the point of arguing about NFC teams. They're not getting through the AFC.
Are they coming out the division? Because I think they can beat the Chiefs the way the Chiefs are playing at the moment. They can beat the Denver Broncos the way the Broncos are playing at the moment. Can they beat the Chargers? Probably.
Yes, the Chargers only scored 3 points last week. And excuse me if you don't think they can beat the Bengals, you're talking out your ass. They could definitely beat the Bengals on the right day. If they played 10 times, I bet they would win 4 out of those 10.
I don't think they're Super Bowl contenders.
I'm saying they are Super Bowl contenders.
I think they're in the playoffs.
They'll be one of the best 14 teams, which is what you have to be now, which makes you a Super Bowl contender.
I respectfully disagree.
I respectfully don't take your disagreement respectfully.
They're competitive.
You're talking out your ass.
They've got a new head coach, right? Who's not a head coach, who's done one game. Yeah.
2 games.
2 games, right?
That was a Di Matteo won the Champions League.
The last Raiders
then he got sacked, yeah.
The last Raiders coach to come in 2-0 took them to a Super Bowl. But they're not going to get there with this guy.
All I'm saying is you need more time under this leadership to see what's going to happen. I don't think you can say now they're not a contender.
They are in the top 14 teams in the league, which makes them a contender because it's 14 teams that get in. And they are one of the best 7 teams in the AFC. They are.
They are, yeah.
They are a contender.
They're not a contender.
But I'm not disagreeing with you. They'll get to the playoffs. I'm disagreeing with you that they're Super Bowl contender. They are a Super Bowl contender by virtue of being in the playoffs, but I would not put any confidence in them getting to the Super Bowl or winning the Super Bowl.
Okay. I disagree. I think they've got as much chance.
What are the odds,
as a lot
John?
Team. Is that what John's looking
up?
Get
off Pornhub and look up.
He's gone into producer mode.
He's supposed to be doing some sort of
He's clearly looking up something else.
I'm not. Or playing.
Nick Sirianni, he's awful. Yes.
Yeah, but the team's awful.
No, but Nick Sirianni is awful.
Yeah. We knew that. We knew that at the beginning of the season.
And yet they're still saying he gets next season as well.
Just because it's an awfully run franchise.
I don't get it. I can't see anything about the Eagles that's redeeming. Anyone?
I like Jalen Hurts. He's not the problem.
No, we said this last week. He's not the problem. But
I don't like Jalen Hurts.
You've made that very clear.
I know.
Week on week.
Yep.
I put it to you that he's not a Super Bowl contender. Put it that way.
I would agree with you there.
The current betting, the Raiders are the 13th favourite for the Super Bowl. So they are a playoff contending team.
Yeah, but that's a playoff contending, isn't it? Like you're not going to put a load of money on that, are you? That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, you'd win a lot back if you did.
Yeah.
Only if they won.
You wouldn't.
I don't feel this is as daft as you're making it out to be. I don't understand. Like they've been really good to start the season.
13th out of 32 isn't great.
Yeah, but you're basing that on the sports books. I'm basing it on what I've seen on the telly.
I think there are much better teams from them in their conference.
If the Raiders and the Chiefs played today, right now,
Raiders would win that.
Raiders would win, right?
Yes.
And yet the Chiefs will be ahead of them in the betting for the Super Bowl. So what I'm saying is that it's flawed. It's flawed. Just look at it as it is today. We're going to do our quarterback power rankings soon, and I'm telling you, there'll be players in there where we go, why have you got that player so high? Right now, they're playing like turd. Or why have you got that player so low? Because right now, they're playing really well. But you have to do it on the eye today. And right now, today, the Raiders are probably in the top 10 of teams.
I agree. It's difficult because the main person... the main person we know who supports the Raiders puts me off ever liking the Raiders.
No, Perry, you arse. You're making it really difficult
and
to
also,
like this team.
Them as a franchise with Al Davis automatically builds in something that I don't like them. But I can't see this team, this roster being strong enough.
In the last 2 weeks, they've beat the Eagles and the Broncos. They're shit teams.
That's a fair point.
The Giants would beat those teams right now. They're not fucking Super Bowl candidates.
We didn't.
That's unfortunate, John, but you didn't. It's fair.
They're shit teams.
It's true. Right, I wasn't expecting that to be the game that sparked us all off, but anyway.
You sparked us all off. We're all in agreement here.
Somebody has to bring the energy.
Saying that, like, they've really come on from last year, and they'll probably make the playoffs, which would be a good achievement, and you never know what will happen, is very different to saying, that they're going to win the Super Bowl.
I didn't say they're going to win it. I said they're in contention to win it.
Super Bowl contender.
Contending means they can win the Super Bowl.
They can win the Super Bowl. What is it?
Fucking can't.
There's 4 extremely thick people sitting at this table with me. I can't believe that you think that this is the case.
It's all to do with semantics.
On
genuinely
a
salty
technicality, yes, they can win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
The same way that the 49ers can win the Super Bowl.
No.
No, it's exactly the same.
This is what Paul said. He said they're the same as saying there's one of 32 that can win. It's not.
Well, because there's still enough games for anybody to win.
The 49ers
you're
still get into playoffs.
The statement is they are one of 14 teams right now you would comfortably say could win the Super Bowl.
But you could...
I don't think I'd say that. I don't think I'd say that comfortably about 14 teams that win the Super Bowl. I think there's maybe
5
or 6. Yeah, there's 5 or 6.
Not this early in the season. There's probably 16 you could say could win the Super Bowl.
No, not that many.
If I was putting my money on it, and I realise I've made stupid bets earlier in the podcast, right?
John, can you write this down?
Yeah, hang on, because I might take him on this one.
I'll take this one as well.
Right, taking away any entertainment value. If I were actually putting my own money at a bookies down, I would never bet on the Raiders.
See, right now, if I was asked to put £1 on someone who's got really long odds but you could win, they would be one of the ones you'd pick. Because tell me why they can't win it.
I don't feel their roster is good enough.
The Chargers, the Titans,
the Bills.
The Bills. Look, they're the reasons, because there are still lots of better teams.
Yeah. This is why I said top 14, not top 5. I'm shocked.
To win the Super Bowl, though, you have to be a top 5 team.
They could be. I'm just saying at this point, it's too early to say that. Wow. This is the first time we've genuinely been angry with each other. It's the first time we've all pointed at someone that isn't Gary and been like, what are you on about?
I'm not angry.
I think Paul as well.
Disappointed.
Oh, no. I'm angry. I'm angry. I feel I'm going to stick by this pick.
Last time I saw Griff this angry, he nearly got into a fight in a car park of a 5-side football pitch.
That guy was a dick, though. Let's be honest. Right, anyway, moving on. And finally, it's not often...
To be fair, Perry did run on from off the pitch and stop him from scoring.
Yeah, and on reflection, letting someone beat Perry up in a car park would have been the right thing to do, but, you have to stand by him. So, do you remember this from years ago?
It was a long time
ago. It was. I'll tell you afterwards. Right, yeah. The Rams win closes the rundown of the games today, and 28-19 over the Lions is not normally anything to leave till last and talk about, but Dan Campbell has gigantic balls because he tried every trick play in the book to win this game.
I'm not sure he has got giant balls.
Are they in the top 14 balls in the league? That's what I want to know.
Well, the thing is, when you've got nothing to lose, right?
Yeah.
And they have nothing to lose. It doesn't matter, does it? So you can do literally.
Nick Sirianni's got nothing to lose and he's doing fuck all. Yeah, David Culley's got nothing to lose and he's doing fuck all.
I'm not sure it makes you brave.
Dan Campbell is playing like an 8-year-old on Madden, and I fucking love it.
It makes you fun. I'm not sure it makes you really brave.
Oh no! Why not?
I don't know. I'm just saying.
Also, I mean, for one, I'm not sure Dan Campbell does have gigantic balls because I'm sure cocaine use shrivels your balls up. And that man is on something. He's amazing.
My point is, he's looked at that game and gone, "We're playing the Rams. If we just try and go, head to head, we're going to lose. So, might as well just, try some trick plays.
2 fake punts, an onside kick for the second play of the game.
Yeah, Sean Payton's done all shit like this in the past.
I think if none of those had come off, we and everyone else in the media, every analyst would be absolutely ripping the shit out of him. Even though they're 0-7, we'd still be saying, "What a fucking idiot! You don't do an onside kick on the second on the second kick of the game. You don't do a fake punt on 2 times trying to steal. That's just stupid. That goes against everything that's in regulation for football and what we know and love." He's got balls because he's got nothing to lose, and he threw the kitchen fucking sink at the Rams, and he still didn't win, but he did a lot better than we thought he would.
And the only other thing I'd like to say is DeAndre Swift is a legitimate, very, very good top 10 running back.
Is he elite?
I would say he is on the verge of elite because he's not even been playing fully fit all year.
4th running back since 1950 with 4 or more receptions and 30 or more receiving yards in each of his team's first 7 games of the season. Like, he's fairly unique at the moment. He's doing a very, very good job.
He's doing a very similar job as Kamara's doing for the Saints.
Yeah,
he's doing it very well.
That's fair.
Jared Goff didn't play badly in this game. Can we just point that out? Like, he was fine. He's not the reason they lost.
It's a bit like the Jalen Hurts thing. He's not the problem there. I don't know about that. It's different. This isn't like the Cleveland team of old. I don't feel like they deserve the record they have.
Don't deserve to be 0-7. Like, they
do. They're shit.
Yeah, last time they were 0-7, they lost all of their games.
Their defense is awful.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. They're not great. But I think they're better than the Texans, the Eagles.
I think you've all got into a bit of a love affair with the Lions.
Oh, we just this was fun to watch. Like, the fake punt, the second fake punt.
We love a good loser, don't we?
But the look on Sean McVay's face when they converted the second fake punt was amazing.
Everyone liked Andy Murray. No, actually, no one
liked
Andy Murray.
But
Andy Murray won stuff.
Jim,
that's the problem.
Jim, just read me the name of the receivers that Jared Goff was thrown to this week.
Right.
Feel free to make up a couple.
Yeah, who had reception? So DeAndre Swift had
we know him. He's almost elite.
And TJ Hawkinson had 6 receptions.
He's a good tight end.
The person who got the most receiving yards was Khalif Raymond. After that, you got Bobby Price, Darren Fells.
Yeah, we know him.
Cardarell Hodge and Geronimo Allison.
We know him.
We've heard of him.
We only know Geronimo Allison though because we keep calling him shit. I think Khalif Raymond got the most because he caught both the fake punts.
Isn't also Darren Fells that person we called one of the worst tight ends in the league when he was at the Texans?
I believe that might be him.
Who the hell is Bobby Price?
Well, he plays wide receiver for the Lions, apparently. Are there no receptions for Quintus Cephas?
No, Quintus Cephas. No.
Gary is right. We love Dan Campbell because he's now he's a lovable loser. But I think he's trying, and it's fun. And I think if you're not enjoying it,
he's not even a wide receiver.
I mean, he's been let out to dry by, the Lions are a horrible organisation and
this year,
whatever. But
I
hope they don't go 0-17
because they're going to finish in the bottom 2 or 3 teams, and they know.
Yeah, absolutely.
So why not just try different things this year? It's fun to watch. I don't care if they win. I literally could not give a shit if the Lions go 0-17. Like, why would I care? I literally don't care. They're a shit organisation. I don't care how Dan Campbell feels. I literally do not give a shit.
I mean, I understand where you're coming from. The Lions go 0-17. That does not change the quality of my life in any way.
All I care about, because I've got him in both my fantasy leagues, is that DeAndre Swift gets me 20 points. After that, I could not give a fuck. Literally. I don't ever think about the Lions.
20 points is nothing when you've got Cooper Kupp in your team, though.
I mean, also, the Rams did... All right, they're an 0-17 now, but the Rams did well to come back from behind. The Rams are looking very, very good.
They are...
Yeah.
How many in 0 since 2017 when leading at halftime?
Oh, they're 44.
40. They're 40 and 0.
Yeah, he's never lost.
He's never lost.
When leading at halftime. No, it is incredible. And you know, better than Kyle Shanahan. Just saying. Anyway, that ends the rundown. And I'm glad we had that, as that really livened things up after we were all having a bit of a sleep there in the middle of the rundown. Okay.
It's not been a great slate of games, has it?
No, it was terrible, but we've made something out of it, which is great. Right, it was National Tight Ends Day, which I assumed was like Rear of the Year, but apparently it wasn't. Jim wants to quiz us on tight ends.
Carol.
She won Rear of the Year.
She did, and it was.
A niche reference.
Yeah. It was the Sudetenland for this week's podcast.
All right.
Right, Jim, over to you.
Cool. We've got 10 of the best tight ends to play the game, plus a few others.
Because we only have 4 microphones, John's going to write his answers down and hold them up in a flashcard styling.
Brilliant.
I can't wait to completely misrepresent them. It's going to be great.
Kurt Swarmer.
Of these 10 tight ends, which round were they picked in the draft and which college did they attend?
Okay.
Go on then. Vernon Davis.
Round 1.
Yep.
Alabama. LSU.
Oklahoma.
Maryland.
That's a college?
Yeah, apparently, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Travis Kelce.
He went the 3rd round.
2nd round.
I thought he was 2nd round.
It was the 3rd round.
Oh.
Anyone get the college?
Alabama.
It's all because I said there's one with Alabama.
UNLV.
Sound like Forrest Gump out there.
Notre Dame.
Cincinnati.
That's the
I didn't
college.
even get a guess that time.
You weren't going to get it. Mike Dicta, sorry.
Round 1.
Yeah, round 1.
Round 10.
It's close, but it's round 1.
Well, the time he was around, there was like 38 rounds.
USC, I'm going with.
I have to say, I thought it would be a bit worse, a bit like that.
Ohio State.
Alabama.
Oklahoma.
Pittsburgh.
That's a college.
Yeah. Antonio Gates.
Undrafted.
He went in round 6.
I will go with undrafted. He played basketball in
I'm
college.
going to go 5.
He was undrafted.
Yeah, because he played basketball.
Anyone get the college?
Pittsburgh.
One of those really good basketball colleges.
Yeah, no, they
Northwestern.
Iowa.
They are a good basketball college. It's Kent State.
Oh, Kent State.
That's a college.
It is. Shannon Sharp. News recently with a beef with DK Metcalf.
5th round.
He was 6th or 7th.
5th.
7th. You're never getting this college.
Shock.
Savannah State.
I was going to go Baylor.
Yeah.
That's a college.
Yeah.
Cool.
Antonio Gonzalez.
1st.
3rd.
2nd.
1st.
Georgia.
California.
Alabama.
USC.
California.
That's a college. Cool.
George Kittle.
3rd round. 84th overall.
Yeah, Paul's confident. I'll stick with that.
2nd.
John's going 3rd.
5th.
5th round. Out of
184th overall.
Alabama.
Florida.
You mentioned it earlier. Iowa.
Oh.
He's one of the tight ends that
Normally
came out.
comes out of Iowa, don't they? God's sake.
John. Ozzy Osbourne. Ozzy Newsome.
Alabama.
First round?
First round out of Alabama. And then famously took a lot of Alabama players when he was general manager for the Ravens. Rob Gronkowski.
2nd.
2nd round. Out of Florida.
First round.
No, because Hernandez was from Florida and that.
First round from Harvard.
Iowa.
Fucking Harvard!
That's a college.
It's 2nd round, and it's Arizona. And lastly, Kellen Winslow, the first one.
Oh, not Kellen Winslow, the convict.
Yeah, not
Kellen Winslow, the old lady toucher.
3rd round.
He's great.
And it's not even allegedly, so fuck you, Kellen Winslow Jr.
He was convicted.
Shout out to Crime and Sports for that episode as well, because I was riveted for that episode.
One of the funniest yet disgusting things I've ever heard. Kellen Winslow.
I said 3rd. I don't know.
Yeah, I think he went earlier than that. I think he went quite early. I'm going to say 2nd.
4th.
1st.
Oh, he did go early. Out of who gives a fuck? He's in the penitentiary now.
Missouri. Missouri.
Yeah.
And he's in the Hall of Fame. His son is in the penitentiary.
Okay, yeah.
There we go. National Tight Ends Day.
Wonderful. I'm glad we did that because that rounded
Was
it off.
unstructured.
Yes, it was. And speaking of unstructured, it's time for a fight. It's QB Power Rankings time. John.
Okay, so we have.
Notice when he holds that microphone, he's like a shit Freddie Mercury impersonator.
A shit Rick Astley impersonator.
Anyway.
Fuck you. Okay, so how do you want to do it? So let's guess.
You're in charge.
You've got all the data.
No, but I'm saying, do you want to guess who? Do you want to try and guess who is number one in our quarterback power rankings?
Yeah, let's do that.
Because
I'm going to go with Josh Allen.
Josh Allen.
Kyler Murray.
Dak Prescott.
it's Josh Allen who has the joint. I've ranked it basically. If you get number one, you get 32 points. If you get number 32, you get 1 point.
I am disappointed.
A joint, Josh Allen, Aaron Rodgers both have 149 points.
Oh wow!
But Josh Allen has two number one positions. So
I
I've given
also
him.
gave another quarterback a number one ranking.
Well, you also gave a number one ranking to Blake Bortles. So yeah, Josh Allen.
Like those people who get automatic shotgun in the car, isn't it?
Third is Thomas Brady with 147
Wow,
points.
third. I didn't expect him to be quite that high.
So yeah,
He's playing very well this year.
He's
I had him
so
sixth,
good.
though.
And we should say this is based on basically we want to win this season. It's not like we're basing this on future. So yeah, fourth Kyler, fifth Matt Stafford, and sixth Dak Prescott. Seventh is running back Lamar Jackson. Eighth Patrick Mahomes. So I imagine if this was probably done
Who had
about
him that low? I had him sixth still.
I think I had him eighth.
I had him third. Griff had him 12th.
Wow.
Because right now he's barely in the top 14
leading,
contending for anything.
Oh, shut up. He still has the same amount of talent.
Ninth, Justin Herbert. 10th, Russell Wilson. So the Andy Dalton level.
Where did people place in a position of order Russell Wilson?
Have we had Stafford yet?
Yeah, Stafford was fifth.
I wasn't listening.
So I had Russell Wilson at 7th. Jim had Russell Wilson
11th.
11th. Griff 5th. Gilo
14th.
12th. And you had it at 6th. So it's...
I had him quite low.
You had Russell Wilson at 5th and Patrick Mahomes at 12th.
But then I had Wilson at 14th or 13th on my list. Or did you take Deshaun Watson out of mine as well?
I took Deshaun Watson out your list.
Fucking hell.
Because...
He's not played a game this season.
He's not playing a game.
If he could.
You don't know.
I mean, the only game he's
I've
going
got him at 12th if he could play.
The only game he should be playing is probably for, Texas Penitentiary. But, yeah. If I could have had Deshaun Watson, I'd have had him in at 10th. But, yeah. So the Dalton level, 16th, Baker Mayfield, 17th, Carson Wentz. Should we guess the bottom? Who do you think is last?
Wilson.
Yes.
Yeah.
8 points out of all that.
Does that mean somebody didn't have him bottom?
I didn't. I had
did you have?
Mills bottom.
I think Davis Mills is doing all right.
I had Justin Fields, I had Mills above Fields and Wilson.
I had Mills and then Heineke and then Jets Wilson.
Yeah.
So I'm now calling him Jets Wilson.
So yeah, the bottom. So Zach Wilson 8 points, Davis Mills 12 points, Justin Fields 21, Heineke 25, Tua 30, Roethlisberger 34, then Bridgewater, Goff, Hurts, Lawrence.
Where was Garoppolo?
Garoppolo is he was 21st. Just below Sam Darnold and Mac Jones, and
Darnold was that high? Who was high on Darnold? That must have been Jim.
That wasn't me.
Where did people rate the often slandered Daniel Jones?
I had him 29th.
You had him 29th. I had him 23rd. Trying to think. He ranges from 18th to 30th.
Wow. That's
Who had him at 18th?
I didn't have him at 30th.
I had him at 23rd.
Was it me who had him at 18?
I would say so.
Probably, yeah.
I've been high on that guy.
But yeah, he's not as bad as Darnold is having a really bad season. So yeah,
I think Jim summed it up quite well when he was trying to do this exercise before we started, and he pointed out that there are some awful quarterbacks in this league. So Daniel Jones is playing better than a lot of other players right now.
So to finish it all off, we had Matt Ryan 11th, just ahead of Joe Burrow and Super Bowl contending Derek Carr. Kirk Cousins, Ryan Tannehill, and then brings it into Baker Mayfield. Jameis Winston was 18th, just ahead of Mac Jones.
I don't think we were far off, if I'm honest.
I think the bottom 14 non-contending teams, you could just mix them up.
Yeah, it's true. I think you're probably right. Right. Well, like National Tight Ends Day, this podcast is finally over. So it's time to say goodbye for another week. Bye-bye.